Greetings, everyone, and thank you for joining me on this episode. On this podcast, we explore topics of interest for professionals at the intersection of public health and entrepreneurship. My name is Dr. Charlotte Huntley, and I'm thrilled that you've decided to join me on this episode. I am a public health entrepreneur with over 25 years of experience in healthcare and public health, and I've also been a podcaster since 2017. I am super excited to tell you about our upcoming workshop. Are you ready to make your side hustle your full-time gig? Well, attention consultants and entrepreneurs who are juggling a full-time job alongside your business dreams. Is your goal to leave your current job and work for yourself full-time? Or does the path to making that transition seem unclear or impossible? You're not alone. I've been there and I've successfully made the leap. Over the years, I've guided countless professionals like you to become full-time entrepreneurs. Now it's your turn. We're preparing a 5-day game-changing workshop to help you. I'm excited about this, as you can hear in my voice, because this is a challenge that a lot of people face, and it's a question that I often receive asking help around this topic. So this 5-day workshop is going to be packed, but it will help you explore your options, and it would help you develop a personalized strategy to achieve this entrepreneurial milestone. So don't miss this opportunity to transform your side hustle into your main hustle. Here's how you can reserve your spot. Now, if you're already receiving podcast emails from us, if we send you an email that lets you know that the new episode is available, then perfect. Keep an eye on your inbox for priority registration details. The second way that you can reserve your spot is by simply checking in the description for this episode. So whatever app you're listening to, check in the description and you'll see a link for the registration for the workshop. It has all the details there. Your entrepreneurial future is waiting. Let's make it happen together. Really look forward to supporting you on this path and specifically in this workshop. All right. Now, on today's podcast episode, we're going to continue on this topic of networking at conferences. I'd like to share some top networking strategies that will help you prepare for your next conference. Be sure to go back and listen to episode 53, where I covered the setting networking goals for your conference. And then the episode immediately before this one, episode 54, I discussed strategies to take action on before you attend the conference. Now, in this episode, we're going to focus on networking strategies and things you should take action on during your conference. So this is a time where a lot of us get really stressed or anxious or exhausted because there's often so much to do and so many people to see, and it can feel overwhelming, even for the best planners. But I do want you to, of course, keeping in mind your specific goals for your networking goals in particular for the conference, which we talked about in episode 53, but your specific networking goals, whether it's the number of connections you want to make or target certain individuals or organizations, just make sure that you keep those in mind to help you make the most out of the strategies that I'm going to be sharing with you. Okay. So I have them numbered, but they're not like a specific order of importance necessarily. So the first strategy, number one, is arrive early to networking events. There will be a lot of networking events. The bigger the conference, the more events there will be included in the conference. And then those that are outside of the conference hours, there will be just a number of those. So specifically speaking to the networking events that are a part of the conference itself, it's important to arrive early because the networking events will fill up and you don't want to be sort of standing on the walls and barely able to get in. I think it definitely pays off to be early to those events. Attend a variety of sessions, not just, this is number two. So not just the ones that that fall in your specialty area, but I encourage you to attend a variety of sessions. I'll use myself as an example. When attending a large public health conference, it would be very easy for me to stay in an area like the epidemiology focused sessions as an epidemiologist. And I did that initially, but it benefits me so much more to attend a variety of sessions. So maybe it doesn't even matter if that is something that I've had any expertise in, but sometimes I will attend sessions in an area that I'm just curious about or I'm just fascinated by. And maybe I know absolutely nothing about it. And that's a perfect opportunity to sort of step in and learn, be a sponge. And I think it's really interesting because I always meet people where there's some synergy there. It's just a great practice. So attend a variety of sessions. Number 3, ask thoughtful questions during the Q&A sessions. I think that this is a valuable opportunity to not only connect with the people on the panel or the speaker, but also with the other people in the room, the other attendees of that session. They will hear your question and your engagement and likely find that there's something there they want to connect with you on. I think it's also just kind of listening to other people's questions, and during that time can sometimes inspire you to have a question. I encourage you to stand up. You don't have to do this in every single session you're in, but I do think that it's a great practice to ask questions and make sure they're thoughtful questions. In other words, don't ask a question about something that they just spent 10 minutes explaining the exact same thing. Maybe your question needs to expand on that or add some sort of value from their response to the discussion itself. Okay, so ask thoughtful questions during the Q&A sessions. Use breaks and meal times for networking. It is also, like I said, a valuable opportunity to just engage with people. It doesn't always have to be about the next client, but just be willing to meet with people and to have conversations. Sometimes people are taking a break in, the area where you get a meal and you just sit back a little bit to just kind of decompress. You're not really wanting to be in the session, but it doesn't mean that they don't want to have conversations. Some of the best conversations happen in those settings. So now we're up to number 5. Participate in workshops and interactive sessions. So we've got those sessions where maybe there's one speaker that speaks to the room, sharing their research or what have you. There's sometimes those sessions where there's a panel of people that'll talk on a topic. And then there's those that are more like workshops or, those interactive sessions like roundtables where they'll put you in small groups and ask you to work on something, give you a few minutes to work on a project with the people at your table. Those are valuable. I recently did that I was invited to attend this conference. It was rather small and I didn't know anyone in the room. And I was excited about that because that opened things up, tremendously. And they placed me at a table. All the tables had about 6 to 7 people from different organizations. And the organizers decided who to place at what table. So we had assigned seating. I like that. I thought it was great. I ended up having some great conversation with everyone at my table. In fact, we all exchanged information and all decided we needed to follow up. And so those can be a lot of fun and really you just need to participate. So if you're really not participating, engaging, it's a lost opportunity, I think. So number 6, volunteer if opportunities are available. Again, go back to what your goals are, your goals for the conference, your networking goals for the conference, and see if a volunteer opportunity is well aligned. And if that's something that you would like to do, it could be a very valuable scenario, an opportunity as well. Number 7, use the conference app to connect with attendees. Some conferences will not have an app, or sometimes the apps are not very user-friendly, but they've gotten better in general over the years. So if the conference has an app, it's likely going to be a good experience. Each year gets better and better, but I've found that there's been tremendous improvements over the conference apps. And it's a great way, especially for the really large conferences, to just find out if your goals, your specific networking goals, you've identified some people you want to connect with, then go to the conference app and make sure you find out kind of where they are. Try connecting with them through the app. I've had people reach out to me through the app, and that's how I've found ways to meet up like one-on-one in person. You can coordinate a time during the session to grab a coffee and just have a few minutes to chat in person. Those apps are really valuable if the conference has one, and just maybe lower your expectations in case it's not super fancy. But I think that few people truly use those apps. So it's a way to stand out if you are willing to do that. Let's see. We are at number 8. Be present and limit time on your phone. That can be hard for a lot of folks because sometimes the phone is like the filler when we're feeling awkward and there's no one to talk to, and we look at our phone and see what's going on. I really encourage you to not do that and to be present. And that's an opportunity to pick up those cues. Sometimes with so much of our work being remote and so many of us have gotten so accustomed to that. Let's not forget about those personal skills, those picking up on body language and those interpersonal face-to-face skills, and being present in those moments. You can take advantage of the opportunities to engage and just be really aware of what's happening and absorb those moments. All right. Number 9, take notes on conversations for follow-up. I do this all the time because first of all, I don't trust my memory to be accurate in a lot of situations. But when you talk to a lot of people, it's easy to kind of get things confused and kind of lose sight on things that you really want to remember about that person or that conversation. So if I engage with someone and there's something about them that I really want to remember, sometimes I'll make a note of that on the back of their business card if they share a physical card, or I keep an app on my phone that I can make a quick note of. So I'm not opening my phone to scroll social media during that time, but I may open to add a quick note and then put it away. Or I also carry a physical notebook and a digital notebook. I know a little extra there, but depending on my mood, sometimes I prefer my digital notebook, and it's not an iPad because there's too many distractions on that, but it's just a notebook that's digital. It's a smaller footprint, and it's easier for me to write a quick note about whoever it was and keep that, in my bag really easily. Also those, if you have a physical notebook, I found what works really well is having a separate, very small conference only notebook. That way your notes for each session or about these people are just in that one physical notebook. Then it could be very small that you can put in your bag, backpack, purse, whatever, and you can easily get to it, and you have everything in one place, as opposed to like a big spiral notebook that's you use for everything, your phone notes, your meeting notes, everything. I like having something just specific to the conference, and that can help you in the after the conference kind of strategy as well, but I won't jump ahead of myself right now. Okay, so number 10, exchange contact information with new connections. In the previous episode, I talked about this a little bit, but I recommend having physical business cards and digital cards because you're ready for whatever the person's preference is. And sometimes you can kind of get a sense of what would be best to use in the room. And so having that ready to exchange information with new connections so that you can quickly and easily follow up with them after the event. So number 11, attend social events and receptions. So I am speaking to my introverts because I think this is very natural for extroverts to they are always recharged doing things. As an introvert, I love being social. So there's a myth that introverts are not social. That's not true. I love meeting people, engaging and being social, but my battery drains quickly. So it could be easy for some of you who are introverts. And maybe if you're on the more of a shy end, you may decide, I'm not going to an event. I'm not doing any social events. I encourage you to attend social events and receptions. Don't overwhelm yourself with it, and don't have to do it every single night and go to everyone that you're invited to. But again, look at your goals, your networking goals for that conference, and make a decision about which social events would be the best use of your time to attend and the best kind of return on your investment of time for attending. But I do encourage you to, at least if you typically don't do any for your next conference, at least try attending one. Okay. And number 12, and this will be my last tip or strategy for you, and that is to seek out interdisciplinary connections. So I mentioned earlier about attending a variety of sessions, not just your specialty area. So on this one, I'm going a little bit with a little bit more intention. So previously I was like, just pick a wild card one where you don't know what the connection is and just have fun attending and see what happens. And this one, when I say interdisciplinary connections, you might want to be a little bit more strategic about how you're looking to connect. So for example, if you're a quantitative expert and that's where your wheelhouse is, maybe intentionally look to connect or engage with someone who is a qualitative expert, because that gives you that. To me, I think that's a great matchup. And you'll find, I think, people who are program evaluators, for example, who are planning those pre and post kind of assessments and helping to develop questionnaires so they can assess the value of a program. I think they need to be engaging with epidemiologists, because I just think that that's a magical combination right there, because they're the data aspect of things. So anyway, look for those interdisciplinary connections and have fun with that, but look for that and maybe seek out at least, some percentage for that to be a way to kind of delight you, be surprised and wowed by what happens with those types of connections. Okay, I gave you a lot, 12 to be exact. I think that all of these are great, but I'm not suggesting that you have to do all of them either. But pick and choose what resonates and what works for you. And again, align that with what your goals are for your networking goals for that conference. So I'll go back to one that I mentioned earlier, where I said number 6, volunteer if opportunities are available. So I wanted to at least give an example of that. If you are, the students are always the ones that come to mind, but it's not just for students. So maybe you're interested in trying to get into an area, or you're curious about it. And maybe there's an opportunity to volunteer to help set up or break down some part of an event that they're having. Maybe set up, putting things out, or when the breaking down part is gathering information or gathering forms at the end. Something simple like that where you can volunteer. It's a way to be visible and noted and engage with people, but maybe you're only volunteering for a few minutes, or for that 1-hour session. Maybe you volunteer to moderate a session. They're often looking for moderators at conferences, and you could volunteer to moderate, meaning that you'll do the introductions and you'll just kind of keeping pace of that session and keeping time. Those are just opportunities, a couple examples that came to mind. I wanted to kind of go back to that and add a little bit to what I meant by volunteering. Okay. I enjoyed this topic, as you can tell, and I hope that these strategies help you. These are for you to apply during the conference. So in our next episode, I will focus on networking strategies to have in place after the conference. That's a whole different story, right? I'm excited to talk to you about that on the next episode. In addition to the workshop that's coming up and that I mentioned at the very beginning of this episode, I'd like to remind you about our Mastermind Group program. It is best suited for established public health entrepreneurs, where we work together and gather together in person, work together online, and then gather together in person for a 2-day retreat. And we do this twice a year. We've had entrepreneurs come from all over the US and beyond for our in-person retreats. Have an incredible, engaged community. So I'm very careful about explaining and describing who it's best for, because we want to make sure that we're growing the community of people that are going to benefit the most from the Mastermind Group program. So enrollment is only open twice a year, in June and December, and only to people who have submitted an application. So if you'd like to know more about the Mastermind Group program, the best place to visit and learn more is to go to our website, publichealthentrepreneurs.com. We have an entire page that is dedicated to providing information about our Mastermind Group program, including the schedule that we follow for our meetings and activities. And if that looks interesting to you, I encourage you to submit an application, because that's the only way we will know that you're interested. And we follow up with you and provide even more information, make sure that you have all of your questions answered, and see if this would be a good mutual fit. You can find the links to our Mastermind Group program as well as our upcoming workshop in the description for this episode. If you're listening in one of the apps, just look for the description area for this episode and you'll find the links to our workshop as well as our Mastermind Group program. All right, everyone. Until next time, have a fantastic rest of your day.